You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Going out into the slot, Conklin with space, fires, he scores!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast.
And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney. In this episode number 30 of the Shake, Rattle, and Goal podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing in Tower Square in downtown Springfield and their new location in Amherst, and by our friends at YOLO Healthcare Consulting, bridging the gap for those traversing the healthcare landscape, and as well now by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. Now that it's spring, technically, it's April, right? Call Landscaping That Fits, proudly serving East Longmeadow, Agawam, Springfield, and the Wilbraham area. Time to revitalize your outdoor space with Landscaping That Fits. Alongside Matt Baker, I am Steve Forney, and it's a pleasure to be doing this again. 30 episodes, Matt, another little milestone for us. How you been?
I've been good. Yeah, 30 in, and it seems like it was just yesterday we were talking about this on the deck, Yeah. This is it's been a lot of fun and happy to do it as always. And, chatting with you for an hour every week ain't too bad either.
Not too bad. We're certainly enjoying ourselves, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we are going to look at some of the games that have just happened. We are really coming down to the wire here, and this is a big week for us. I feel like we say that every week now, but it's kind of true. Every week we're here, it's a bigger and bigger week. Mm-hmm. I'm just throwing this out there. I know that there's, college hockey's ending. There's all these college hockey free agents that are becoming available. There's a bunch at Quinnipiac. There's guys around that are available for teams to sign. And I just know that between when we record now Monday and when we release it on Wednesday, something's going to happen. You just know it. Something's going to happen. So I don't know what that
I would hope.
is.
We've said that before.
Right.
I would hope. It would make sense. We'll get into our games, but real quick, the Blues had a tough loss. Again, we're recording Monday night, so they had a tough loss. I think it was last night, kind of all but ending their playoff run
against one of the worst teams in the league.
Against, the Sharks. So, and talking with the Blues Fan Forum podcast last week, that's kind of been, it's funny how parallel these two seasons have been, with the Thunderbirds could not get out of their own way against the Islanders, the worst team in the league, and the Blues can't get out of their own way in a big playoff run against the worst team in the NHL, the Sharks. So I don't like saying meaningless games at professional levels, but the Blues are now playing for pride. They're playing for respect. They're playing for
spoiler.
They're playing the spoiler role. They're playing for each other in the locker room. And the T-Birds, we're still sitting here. We are very much in the playoff hunt, 2 points out. So, I'm with you. I hope there are players there for the taking. We need bodies, whether that is just my pipe dream of hoping Bolduc and Dean get sent down to play meaningful. Again, I don't like saying it's meaningless up there, because there is meaning to those players, but can you send those guys down for a big playoff push here in the AHL? I don't really think that's going to happen. I'm hoping, but
or even just a weekend. We'll take it for a weekend, but it's hard if you're young and let's say the parent club is saying, well, we want to keep these guys up here because we want them to get used to the NHL speed, and we want them to get used to the NHL locker room and all that stuff. That's fine. But again, if you're playing another team that's out of the playoffs, what are they gaining if it's just two teams that are already out of it, skating around for 60 minutes compared to coming down here and playing again in a big game against Hartford or something like that,
Yeah.
and instead of playing fourth line minutes, you're playing top line minutes, you're playing special teams, you're playing all over the ice. So I think that's an endless debate, and I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer, but like that would just be really nice.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a fair point you bring up. I mean, my personal feeling on it is I think there's something to be said, albeit the skill level is greater in the NHL than the AHL. Like that to me, you can't really debate that, but I still think there are many gains to be had when you're playing at any level in those high stress pressure moments. And especially if you are looked upon as a leader, both, skill wise, leadership wise. If you are sent down to the AHL, sure, the game might be a little bit slower, but the mistakes are magnified 100 times over just because of the what's at stake. And so, sure, you maybe play a little bit of a slower paced game. Speaking in generalities, right? Maybe a little less skilled of a hockey game, but the stakes are much higher than you're going to play any game in the NHL right now at the moment. So, we'll see. I haven't heard any news yet. This is just my pipe dream, but if not now, forget it. If it's kind of what I'm thinking. If not this week, I don't know when. So,
and included in that, playing in a playoff atmosphere in a smaller but sold out rowdy arena compared to playing against Columbus in a big empty arena with that's 40% full. Like, what are you gaining out of that? Like, yeah. I think that with these two players in particular, let's not forget it took them a long time to get here. And I remember at the beginning of the season, we were like, I can't wait to see these guys come out like gangbusters. Let's be honest. It took them to Christmas to really
I would even say later than that. I mean, Bolduc, you saw the ups and downs of Bolduc kind of, maybe around Christmas. Dean took a while.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
He was healthy, scratched,
he just, it took a while, and that's to be expected. They were both rookies, but at the time of their call-ups, I would, especially the military appreciation game, I think Dean was going off. He basically had a hat trick that third goal was called off. And I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, these guys, at the time of their call-ups, you're thinking these guys are legit. They're carrying the team, and so I guess we shall see. But if not now, I don't think it's not happening.
Jake Neighbors, let's not forget, Jake Neighbors spent a lot of time down here.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe he leads their team in points, or second in the team, or first in the team in goals. There's some stat he's leading. And, he had to put in his time here. How many guys in that roster had to put in their time here? I'm just afraid for a guy like Zach Dean and Bolduc that it's going to take them a while to, I don't think there's anything between now and the end of the Blues season for them that's going to be like, oh, now I'm an NHL player.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as a slight to them. I mean it because they're so young and raw. You're just so much better off coming down here. And again, I don't know what their mental psyche is, but isn't it just so much better for a young player to dominate at a lower level than to be lost at a higher level? You know what I mean? Playing fourth line minutes at a higher level.
I'm with you. And we'll move on to more of our games. But my last thought is, if you look at lessons to be gained, and I'm all for learning. I think you learn more from your mistakes. But, again, in these spoiler role games that the Blues are going to play from now for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what will these young players learn and take from next year to make them better versus lessons that could be learned playing in basically win or go home every night type scenarios where every shift is amplified, every pass, every dump in, every stick infraction. Could a mistake happen in these next 2 weeks with the Thunderbirds that any young player can pull from and say, I've had the experience in these types of situations. This is how I handled it. This is how I handle it moving forward. Again, I'm a big philosophical type guy. the mental aspect of sport. Like I love that about sport, mostly because physically I can't play anymore, right? But so I don't know. I always lean towards that aspect of it. But
Yeah,
I
Patrick
totally
Williams. Patrick Williams came on and said that the winning culture
yes.
is created, here. It's like, would you
Mhm.
rather a player, develop their skill or develop a winning culture?
Yeah,
It's an interesting question,
Yeah.
So, I mean, all that aside, we are, I just mentioned it briefly, but, a lot of NCAA teams are out. We just saw Quinnipiac lose. Colin Graff is a highly sought after free agent coming out of college. And all I keep hearing is teams other than St. Louis. There's another guy on that team and his name is escaping me. Somebody's going to sign him. And I haven't heard St. Louis even be remotely close to being in the mix, and Jimmy Snuggerud's season's over. He is a junior. He'd have to forego the senior year. Wouldn't that be a nice addition to just throw on a second line, again, heading right into do or die hockey. So, I don't know. And I don't know if it comes down to cap or anything like that. I mean, there's no team more cap strapped than the Bruins, and yet they're in on everybody from these college teams. So, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out with some of those players. And then, I don't know what they're going to get out of it, but it looked as though, and I never saw anything official, just other than the Thunderbirds fan forums. I believe Jeremy Biakabatuka now finally up on his way to the Thunderbirds, which again, I don't think anybody's more happy than I am, except for maybe his parents. I can't wait to say that name really loud. But who knows what you're going to get there. And maybe he's your replacement for a guy like Austin Osmanski. But in the meantime, I'm still waiting for those future considerations. Still waiting for that guy to get his rear end in gear.
The future's now. The future's now.
It should be. So, so just taking a quick look back at the games last weekend. I say last weekend, last weekend, because I keep thinking, I always get thrown off, Matt, when there are no home games. Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. Even we were talking before, and I was like, isn't that when they got shut out? And I'm like, no, that was the last game I worked, but that was not last weekend. Again, a tale of two completely different games where, you play in Hartford, you jump on them, you put your foot down, you score a couple power play goals, you beat them 6-2, and then you go up to Utica, a team that is again in last place, just like Bridgeport is, and you lose 4-3, and it's like, here we go again.
Look, I will say this: they're in this position not because of a loss to Utica on Saturday. We're here 2 points out from the last playoff spot because of the season as a whole. This team has not won 3 games in a row in a while, like maybe since November, let alone 3 road games. So I don't expect this team to necessarily do something it has never done all season. That being said, I do feel, although they were 2 different results, I don't think it was for a lack of effort. Against Hartford, you're down 1-0 on the road, and Hartford has not been playing very good hockey as of late. They had 2 call-ups that kind of put their roster in a little bit of a rut, and they haven't really been playing very good hockey as of late. But they get the equalizer from Suzuki, and then they just flat out dominate that second period. 2 goals from Vrana within 30 seconds of each other. And that's one of the things we kind of were on Vrana a little bit last week. We know the talent is there, and the expectation of, dude, you could take over a game anytime you want, if you want to. We hadn't really seen it, but we see it in Hartford. Sunday against Utica, again, you go down early, 1-0. Tanner Dickinson comes back with the equalizer. Oh no, I'm sorry, you were down. Yeah, you're down 3-1 after the first, and then you score 2 in the second, and it's tied. Again, the consistent theme of being outshot is there, but this team, you're down 3-1. There was fight from this team. So it was not a lack of energy. In my opinion, it was not a lack of motivation. Look, I really think when it comes down to it, I think the Thunderbirds had more than their ample amount of chances. It just came down to they really just ran into an amazing goalie in Schmid there. I mean, he stopped Gaudette twice right in the slot, right in the doorstep. He was left to right on the pipes for multiple power plays in a row. This was just, in my opinion, an example of the Comets leaning on their goaltender and coming through. It's unfortunate because of all the previous games, and it's easy for us to highlight Bridgeport games as that, but if you win the games you're quote unquote supposed to win earlier in the season, you allow yourself to probably play a better game than Utica, be a better team than Utica, but you just ran into a goalie that was a brick wall.
Yeah.
And, we've said that on our end. How many times has Zarenko or Subban when he was with us, or Ellis, we're down 1-0 after the first. It very easily could have been 5-1. So, I thought this was a good weekend from the Thunderbirds. They're not giving up on the season. They're going to play. We know this. They just have given themselves zero wiggle room because of how they played the last few months. And that's what kind of gives me pause on the playoff hope, because you basically need them to run out 2 points behind, but the Phantoms are going to keep winning. So you got to gain games on them. That's harder to do.
Yeah. And we're going to get into the schedule coming up here, but it doesn't get any easier, doing this Canadian swing, looking at the North Division. Utica, the team we just lost to, last place, they have 67 points. You have Thunderbirds have 63, but you play Utica, Belleville, who's in 6th, Toronto, who's in 4th. And the difference between 7th place Utica and 4th place Toronto is 4 points.
Yeah.
So they are all in gung ho playoff mode. All these teams that you're going to play in the next week. So even though the game, the Toronto game's at 11 a.m., it's still going to be wall to wall playoff hockey. So you're right. I think that they have enough self-respect. They have enough respect for the name on the back and the front of the jersey to not lay over and just say, this isn't going to work this year. I personally, I still think they have this feeling in their head that, like, if we just get to the playoffs and we play Hershey, we can take them. If we just get in the playoffs and play Hartford, we can take them. We play Providence, we can put up a fight. Like, I honestly feel like they think that way, and they should, because they've played well against those teams.
I'm with you.
It's just the games against the guys like Utica that just make you kind of scratch your head. So,
yep.
I'm sorry, I have ADD, but I wanted to just share one story because we didn't really get to talk much about, that's the other thing too. We didn't get to talk much about the other games because we had the Blues podcast last week. Did I tell you that, did we talk about the Napoleon Dynamite story with Will Bitten?
No,
Okay.
We didn't. No. Yes.
Okay.
Let's do that.
So I teach at a high school, and I had another teacher, this sweet, older lady, Miss Goldstein. And I was talking about, I needed a Napoleon Dynamite wig, and she's like, I have one. I'm like, yes, awesome. So she gets me the wig, and I'm in the, between the penalty boxes, and I have the Napoleon Dynamite wig in. So Will Bitten scores, and then he gets a penalty, comes the box. And again, Will is like our BFF now. He loves us. So he's like, he gets the box. He's like, hey, Steve, I like that wig you got there. And I'm like, thanks, Will. If you get a hat trick, I'll throw it on the ice. You can wear it. And sure enough, third period rolls around. He gets the empty netter for the hat trick. So now I have to throw this wig on the ice that isn't mine. And so I do. I throw the wig on the ice. It gets picked up. And then if you looked at any of the pictures post-game, there's Will with the wig. He was wearing the wig the whole time. So that interaction was great. But then I had to go back to school, and I'd say, Miss Goldstein, I kind of sort of threw the wig on the ice, which is now taken by a 25-year-old hotshot prospect from Canada. So I'm going to have to get you another one. But yeah, I was sort of feeling good about that Will Bitten hat trick because I feel like I had a little something to do with it. A little bit of extra motivation for him to get that with the Napoleon Dynamite wig. And just on the whole, that whole night was a home run. And quite frankly, a lot of these guys, these celebrities that you bring in, they don't really stick around. Like, they do the pregame stuff. They come drop the puck. They'll hang around for a period, and then they just get the heck out of there. Tip of the hat to John Heater and I forget his name, the guy who plays Pedro.
Efrain Ramirez.
Efrain Ramirez. They stuck. Now they stick around the whole game. They were in the locker room after the game, taking pictures with the guys. Like, they just ate it up. And from what I hear, they'd never actually been to a hockey game before. And they were really, honestly, they were sitting up next to all the scratched players. So I think they were just spending the time just shooting the breeze with the players. So
yeah,
I don't know. I thought that was cool on their part that they just wanted to stick around and sort of be a part of it all. And I thought that was really cool. So a good night. Again, they always seem to play so well on these theme nights. Every night should just be a theme night. And they play really good in those third jerseys, which is why they should just make those the home jerseys. Because they seem to play really well on those. So
it reminds me of. Did you ever watch the Michael Jordan documentary?
Right.
The last shot or the last whatever it is. Right. Anyway, he's. I took that personal. Like, he always found ways to get motivated, and this team, they get motivated when John Heater's there. They get motivated for these special nights. They get motivated, and then they don't. But look, coming up, I think 3 big games in Canada. And, you brought up an interesting point in, this team just kind of has a belief of, hey, if we just make it to the playoff, and then, they're confident playing the higher teams. And I totally agree with that mindset. I have that. If they can only just make it, I think they're a dangerous team. And then you really do make a solid case. The Blues season is done. I don't want to reopen this debate we had, but, like, do you send Kessel, Bolduc, and Dean down for playoffs, not just regular season push games? If they do make the playoffs, do you get your reinforcements? The Blues did it a few years ago with Lindgren. When their postseason ended, they sent Lindgren down to send it home. So it's in their history. It's in their DNA, so to speak. They understand the meaning of a playoff. So maybe they do. Yeah. I don't know. But
8 games left. After this weekend, there'll be 5. So, no rush, St. Louis, but but
sooner the better.
Sooner the better would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We do want to sort of get into a little bit of those games as well coming up, and even just looking at the rest of the season. But we do have a wonderful fan feature, which includes the youngest fan we've ever had on, which was a lot of fun, especially, with kids my age and your kids' ages. It was a fun little interview, and we are going to get to that momentarily. But first, we want to tell you that this episode of the podcast is sponsored by our friends at White Lion Brewing. Their new location in Amherst on North Pleasant Street and right in downtown Springfield at Tower Square, 1500 Main Street, the place to go prior to Springfield Thunderbirds games. Parking is a bit tricky these days, so make sure you park in the Tower Square garage, swing into White Lion, show them your Thunderbirds ticket, and they'll validate your parking for you. And while you're there, grab some of the delicious food like the Boomer Nachos, the Seuss Mac and Cheese, the Hall of Fame wings, along with any of their 20-plus beers they have. Don't forget, you can find your favorite White Lion beers in your local liquor store cooler. White Lion Brewing, now in Amherst and in downtown Springfield, a proud local sponsor of the SRG podcast. Make sure you tell them the fellas from the SRG podcast sent you. By our friends at YOLO Healthcare Consulting. YOLO Healthcare Consulting offers education, training, tutoring, coaching, and mentoring for healthcare professionals and students. Founding owners Yolanda Mero and Lola Rios are doctorate-prepared nurses with over 40 years combined bedside, academic, and leadership nursing experience. They also offer assistance to individuals navigating the healthcare system for long-term care and home care planning needs. They're founded right here in Western Mass. YOLO Healthcare Consulting are the ones to contact to help you bridge the gap. If you're traversing the healthcare landscape, you can reach out to them at yolo.healthcareconsulting@gmail.com, or you can give them a call at 413-627-0609. Tell them that the guys from SRG sent you, and of course by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. It's time for you to unlock the secret to a lush, weed-free lawn with Landscaping That Fits' exclusive weed and feed lawn service program, serving the East Longmeadow, Agawam, Springfield, and Wilbraham area. Their program is designed to elevate your outdoor space to new heights of beauty and health. I will say, I got in touch with Rob. I mentioned something last week. Rob called me up. He's like, hey, here's the estimate. No pressure. You want to come over? We'll do all your weed and feed, all your fertilizer. And we talked to the boss, my wife, and we're doing it. So I'll have Landscaping That Fits at my house all summer long. So again, we're not just here talking about it. I'm doing it just like you are. So experience the difference as their expert team nourishes your lawn with premium nutrients, promoting robust growth while eliminating unsightly weeds. Say goodbye to tedious weed pulling and hello to vibrant, envy-inducing lawn with Landscaping That Fits. 413-847-0338 to secure your spot in their weed and feed lawn service program. There's one less of them now, thanks to me. Visit them online at Landscaping That Fits. And don't forget, they do offer services like weekly mowing, spring cleanups, mosquito and tick control treatments, fall cleanups, aeration, overseeding. They do it all. So definitely give them a call. Landscaping That Fits over here. All right, let's get to our fan feature segment. This is Vin. Say hi to Vin and Ryan Carroll. This was a lot of fun, and we enjoyed it. So here they are. And it's once again time for our fan feature segment. It's brought to you by our friends at O'Connell's Irish Pub and Grill, located at 733 Chicopee Street in Chicopee. Easy on and off from 391. Whether you're just driving along 391 looking for a bite to eat, O'Connell's full menu has something to satisfy your hunger. Shepherd's pie, flatbread, sandwiches, and even a full kids menu for guys like Ryan. If you're looking for a friendly environment at night to grab a drink or two, make sure you stop by O'Connell's and take a look at their 10 local and craft beers on tap. O'Connell's Irish Pub and Grill, 733 Chicopee Street in Chicopee, a proud sponsor of the SRG podcast. And make sure you tell Blake and our friends behind the bar that the boys from SRG sent you. And yes, it is a pleasure right now to be joined by Ryan and Vin Carroll. How are you guys?
Good, thanks. How are you guys? Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. Ryan, how old are you, buddy?
6.
6? It's a great age, Dad. It's a great age.
Fun.
Almost 7.
Good for you. When's your birthday?
June 29th.
We're getting there. We're getting there, dude.
Ryan, this is pretty cool for us. You are officially our youngest interview. We've had other kids on, but actually you are our youngest interview. So congratulations. This is pretty cool.
Very distinguished.
Yes. Why don't we start? Ryan and Vin, tell us a little bit about yourselves and sort of anything you'd like to share. Go for it.
Yeah, Ryan, you give me a chance to talk. Yeah, so, I mean, can I talk first?
No, I'm doing it.
All right, Ryan. Okay, if Ryan's going to talk first. So, yeah, I mean, I've always loved hockey. I played hockey as a kid. I grew up going to Flyers games and a little bit of minor league hockey as a kid in Pennsylvania. And then once I had kids, hockey kind of took a back seat, and I kind of lost touch with it for several years. And then just in the last couple of years or so, got reconnected and took Ryan to his first game 2 years ago. It was actually a Wolfpack game. So we had just moved to Connecticut a couple of years ago as well. And going back and forth between the Hartford and Springfield, just really loved the games in Springfield. I hated the Rangers as a kid. And I just love the atmosphere in Springfield, and the games are a lot of fun. And so we've definitely gravitated towards Springfield and are 100% Thunderbirds fans at this point. Cool. What do you think, Ryan?
Okay.
Let's tell them about some of the most exciting parts of the games we went through this year.
Can you just tell them?
Yeah, you tell them. Yeah, show them. So we were...
I'm at a game when they were losing 3-0, and it was going to be in the third period, and then they scored 3 goals, and then they won overtime.
Yeah, that was the game in December when it was an awesome game. That overtime winner was like a very memorable game.
As a Bridgeport, I think, maybe.
Yeah, that was spectacular.
And the 7-0 game.
Oh yeah, against Utica, that was a nice game too.
Yep. It was a great game. Yeah.
And how about the game we went to last month? What did you get there?
Who were they
You're
playing?
holding it. I don't even remember who they were playing for that game. Oh, Laval, maybe. It might have been Laval, the Rocket.
Okay, and I got this from...
Hold it up. Can they see? I don't think they can see
Ooh.
it. You might have to move it so they can see it in the camera. Over this way. Where'd it go?
Oh, nice.
Oh, there
Nice.
it goes. So
That's
where
awesome.
you got it from?
I got it from Goddett. I don't know where should I...
Perfect.
There you go.
What better way to get one? That's
So
awesome.
that was a big thrill. And we also went to the autograph session after the game, I think back in January.
Mm-hmm.
And why'd you tell them who you got to meet and got autographs from?
Subban.
Yep.
Sam Bitten. And,
Nice.
Well,
Yeah, he wanted to meet everyone, but it was getting late. So next year we'll have to catch some other guys. But yeah, we had a really great time at that as well.
That's awesome. Hey, Vin, quick question, just as a behind-the-scenes kind of guy at the games. What is it about that you like about Springfield more than going to Wolfpack games? Is it the production or just the atmosphere? Or I know sometimes at the XL Center it's so big that when they don't fill it, it feels kind of cavernous.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's like the atmosphere, like you said. It's just more. It's very family friendly. The games are a lot of fun. I feel like the whole organization is really top notch from top to bottom. And another big thing for me, at least last year, was the sensory friendly game because my other son has autism and it can be challenging getting him to sporting events, which tend to be loud. So that actually was his first hockey game last year. We went to the sensory friendly game. So yeah, I just think it's an awesome organization and we love getting out to the games and looking forward to going to a bunch of games next year as well. And this is the first year we really became like pretty hardcore fans, I would say. Last year, when Ryan was younger, I went to a bunch of games after he was in bed, but this year he's been to every game with me.
That's awesome. What fun, Ryan.
Ryan, what's your favorite part about the games? Do you like it when they score goals? Do you like it
when they score goals and hat tricks?
Yes. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Ryan, do you have a favorite player?
All of them.
Or maybe can you pick top three? Your top three?
No, top 5.
All right, do top 5.
No, top 4.
Sure, whatever you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just do Goddard, the Bitten brothers, Coughlin, and
We liked Subban a lot too. We were kind of bummed when he got traded.
Same.
Yeah.
We met him a couple times. We also went to one of the Boomers Reading Club at the library, and we met. Drew Collin was there as well. So that was another community event. And that's another thing I neglected to mention was just all the community outreach and the events for charity. I think they do a lot of good stuff for the community, and I think they do a lot for the whole area, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of what makes Western Mass is that community involvement.
Yeah. Yep.
Vin, do you have a favorite? And I just growing up going to Flyers games too, and you were probably right in the thick of a good run for them. Do you have a favorite Thunderbird moment, and then maybe even a hockey moment? Because I love hockey history. I'm sure you got something from back in the day that.
Favorite Thunderbird moment. I think just being able to share all these games with Ryan this year in general, we get to spend a lot of really quality time one-on-one together, which is really awesome. And yeah, I just love spending time and getting to see how he is just as passionate about this amazing sport that I am. That just really fills me up, and it's great to be a part of that.
That's awesome, Vin. This interview is about you guys, but that's a very similar story to me. I'm just a fan, and I became a fan because I have 2 kids who fell in love with the sport just like I did, and being able to share it with family is fantastic. Hey Ryan, so we do have some players that listen to the show, and 2 brothers who have been on the show a few times, and I know they listen. Do you want to send a message to any of the players, or say anything to any particular brothers on the team?
Say you love watching them play. That's good.
I love watching the team play.
Yeah. He says he loves watching the whole team play.
Fair
Me
enough.
too.
That's cool. I do. Yeah. How about Will Bitten's hat trick the other night? That was pretty cool, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We were at the game the night before when they got shut out. So we picked the wrong night to go, but yeah, that was pretty awesome.
And he scored the goal and he was all falling down.
Yeah, his last one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, of course we got AHL TV this year too. So if we're not at the games, we watch a good bunch of them as well from home.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Oh, Ryan had one other thing he wanted to mention. So he started playing hockey this year as well, and he was one thing that's not 100%. Oh, okay, it's not. It's not 100% Thunderbirds related, but he's very eager to show you. Tell you.
Go ahead.
It's all you.
Okay, so I won this trophy.
There you go. It's on the screen.
I won this trophy.
Where were you playing when you got it?
What?
UConn.
UConn at my last games.
Wow, look at that, buddy. Great
That's
job.
awesome.
Good for you.
And he even wore his Thunderbirds jersey to a couple practices this year too. So
Good for you, dude.
You
If
might
they
be
need-
talking to a future Thunderbird center.
Yeah, if
What do
they
you
need-
think?
some roster support, he might be available next season.
Well, hey, you know.
Right, you can fill in for
Ryan.
somebody next year.
I could fill in.
Yeah, no problem.
I can skip.
UConn's a popular place these days, buddy.
And I scored 5 goals in 4 games.
Wow.
Goals. You are like
great.
Adam Gaudette. My goodness.
That's right.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
we're really hoping they make the playoffs this year. We'd love to get to a playoff game, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Vin, just curious, do you get tickets on a game-to-game basis, or do you have a bit of a package? Do you work
Yeah,
with
so
a
we did
ticket rep?
the flex pack this year with Steve Bruzo, and he's really awesome. He's a pleasure to deal with. And then next year we're doing the 10 game. We're getting 2 seats with the 10 game pack, so we'll probably end up going to more games next year.
I was just going to say, if you had anything, we also have front office people listening. I know you mentioned Steve and the outreach, and if you just had anything to say to, the people of the Springfield Thunderbirds organization, behind the scenes, they don't get the credit a lot of times, what they do, not just in the community, but for fans when they show up to the building and
Sure.
check on you and everything else.
From listening to you guys, it's given me a greater appreciation for everything that goes in to putting these games on. It's a ton of work and effort that most people don't even notice. But yeah, they do a spectacular job, I think, putting a great product together. And the games they go seamlessly, and there's a lot of energy. And I think they make it appealing for a broad range of people. So they do a really spectacular job.
I'm amazed still, even like going back to that game, that shutout game, like how many people leave the game after they lose and they don't play particularly well, and everybody's still like, that was great, what a great time. And meanwhile, I'm like, what was great about it? They got lost. But again, I'm in the thick of it, and I'm not, again, a fan like you guys up on the concourse and taking in everything that the home games have to offer.
Yeah. And also the affordability is a big factor too. We did go to one Bruins game this year, but that's just, the cost difference, there's really no comparison. It's great that we can get out to a ton of games for like the same price of one Bruins game, really.
All right. Well, Ryan or Vin, any last any message you want to send out, or anything last you want to say about what you like about the Thunderbirds?
What do you love most about the Thunderbirds?
I just love to see them play.
He loves to see them play, he says, and I feel the same way.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're looking forward to many, many seasons of going to games together. I think there's going to be no turning back. So
That's how I grew up. My dad taking me to games, and now I get a chance to take my son to a game. It's the best. And Matt's the same way. So it's we're good to have you in the building. And Ryan, hopefully soon we'll be seeing you skate around in that Thunderbirds ice. We got those prelim games, and then
yeah, no doubt.
you go play at AIC, and then you can make it to the show. Maybe it's the hope.
Yeah, definitely. He'll get me some tickets to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Here, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have the Flex. I use the Flex Pass too, and we kind of move our seats around all over the place.
Yeah.
Do you guys like to stick in a particular section, or are you all over the place? Do you have a favorite spot that you guys like to sit?
Yeah, we've tried to kind of scouted it out all season to see where we like best. We've sat up close, but to be honest, I kind of prefer being at least like midway up, kind of along the center red line.
That I like.
What do you like?
I like the spots, with that shelf and then like the thing where you walk around and then the seats above.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, like he likes the first row in the upper level because you have the little like shelf.
Yes. Resourceful. I like it. I'm the same way. Otherwise, if you put the drinks at your feet when you stand up after they score a goal, you spill your drink.
Yeah, I think Ryan kicked over one of my drinks this year at least. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. I probably did too.
I watched you.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
Very cool. All right. Well, Ryan and Vin, thank you so much for hopping on. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really an honor to be invited tonight. And hopefully we'll get to bump into you guys at a game sometime.
Yeah, I probably won't be at the Thunderdome again unless they make the playoffs. So if hopefully that's the case, I'll make sure to reach out and meet in person, because that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, you guys.
Cool.
Great chatting with you tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See ya. Bye, Ryan. Take it easy, Vin.
Bye.
See you guys. Thanks again.
All right, there goes Vin and 6-year-old Ryan Carroll. That was an absolute great time.
Almost seven. Almost.
It's almost June 23rd, I think he said. But that's great. And again, people keep talking about the experiences here in Springfield and what the front office does and what the sales staff and everybody else does. And that's the first time we've had somebody say, I actually live between Hartford and Springfield and I go to both games and I like it here better. That feels good. And no offense to the people in Hartford. I know a lot of those people in the front office and they do a nice job too, but boy, that feels good from a front office perspective that, you talk about things this team does right. That was proof of it right there. That was awesome.
Yeah. Very nice to chat with them. And I echo just what you said. I mean, and that's how many times have we had fans on and guests on and I'm like, wow, that's why I'm doing this. And it's fantastic. And, the hard work often behind the scenes gets overlooked, and I'm glad we are able to shed the light on it. I mean, it should be celebrated. Our front office staff here in Springfield should know and feel their worth, and it's something special for sure.
So big thank you to them for coming on. Absolutely. And, one thing that we did want to kind of mention here, because again, Springfield, like we mentioned, does have 8 games left. They will be going on a little bit of a road trip, which we can get into here in a minute. They're up there in Canada, 3 home games left, and I actually have to miss the last game, which I'm really upset about. But it's a little tough. They have Charlotte left. They have 2 games against Providence, 2 games against Hartford. So it's not going to get necessarily any easier here for Springfield, but just 2 points behind Lehigh Valley. And yikes. I mean, you want to talk about a tough stretch here between, tomorrow is Tuesday. I know we release on a Wednesday, but Tuesday, April 2nd, they are at Hershey. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they are home to Providence, home to Cleveland, who's in second place in the North, and then home to Wilkes-Barre. And then the following Friday is at Hershey again. So 2 against Hershey, 1 against Providence, 1 against Cleveland. Those are 4 games against top 1 or 2 seeded teams in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now's your time, like Springfield. Like now is your time to pounce. Like if you're gonna steal some points from Toronto and Belleville and Laval, now's the time to do it because there's a chance here where Lehigh Valley could fall on some hard times.
Yeah, I mean it's. We've talked about this before. You can only control what you can if you're Springfield. But these, I think, Lehigh Valley's stretch coming up over these next 2 weeks is tough. You probably expect maybe 3 to 4 points over the next 2 weeks from Lehigh Valley. So these are the points. This is the spot now where you can make those points up. You're not playing head to head against Lehigh Valley, but you've got to take care of your business here coming up on this Canadian roadie and, let the chips fall where they may. But I think it's easy to scoreboard watch as fans. I mean, I'm going to do it. I think the players on the Thunderbirds right now just have to be focused on what's right in front of them and what's in their control. And that will start in Toronto.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. If they can't pick up points here, it doesn't matter what happens with Lehigh Valley.
Exactly.
They will after that stretch have 2 games against Bridgeport, and we talked about teams playing spoilers. Bridgeport to me seems like a team that is, despite being in last place, and again, the Bridgeport that I've seen, they have no interest in laying down. They would love to go out there and spoil somebody else's season, like Lehigh Valley, 2 straight games against Bridgeport. So, hope and pray that the Bridgeport that played against Springfield is going to be the same one playing against Lehigh Valley. But again, you talk about a team that's hot and cold and streaky, and that's Bridgeport as well to a T. So, I don't know. It'll be very interesting to talk at this time next week. Lehigh Valley will have played 4 games. Springfield will have played 3, I believe. And
yes.
Then they'll be even, right? Because they have 1 game in hand. So at that point, we'll be even, and we'll see sort of what it looks like. But
yeah, I mean, what do we have? So
they can control
exactly, and I think it starts Wednesday in Toronto. I believe it is their school night or field trip day. So at 11 o'clock, which are tough to get up for. I think we talked about this in Springfield, how how weird it is sometimes when you have the sensory friendly games or you have these early morning games, you're looking for more of a fight to kind of spark the energy a little bit. And I think we have to do this, right? Let's not forget last time Toronto was in Springfield. That was the incident after Joey Duzak scores the goal and he's skating by the bench. And, he kind of gets speared a little bit, or attempted spear by the bench. And then you end up with whatever that goon's.
Kyle Clifford.
Thank you. Clifford tries to attack Duzak and he ends up kind of having no part of it. Look, I'm excited to maybe, while I'm at school, put the game on Wednesday morning. Maybe not. I cannot confirm nor deny what I will be watching during my prep periods and lunch. So I'm excited for this game. This will be a fun game. They beat him in Springfield. There's going to be added juice from the Marlies, and it's an 11 o'clock start. So you just hope that Springfield can match the energy right out of the gate.
Yeah. And you're right. We've been talking to the players. I don't even remember which one it was at this point. We were talking about why there's so much more intensity, should we call it,
Mm-hmm.
and these especially the sensory friendly games. And they said, well, if the fans, based on the night that we're having, can't give us the energy, we need to give it to ourselves, and that's why they pummel each other at the beginning of the game. Same thing seems to be the case for these school games, and it just seems like everyone has more action, more fights, more intensity. And especially with the history, like you mentioned, of these two teams going back to their last game, I anticipate the first period of this one being absolutely bananas. And I know you asked me before the show, but I guess I'll start by asking you, do you add a little bit of extra beef around Joey Duzak, whether he's on defense or he's playing forward? Do you give him a little protection, anticipating that there's going to be, whether it's after the whistle or cheap stuff during the game? Do you give him some
I think
muscle?
so. Here's my thought, and I have no insight to this, but I mean, Jeremy Biak-Patuka is officially on the Thunderbirds roster right now. He's going to be wearing number 13. So, hey, you throw him in. So does he play defense? And does that allow you to put Duzak back at forward? And if you put him on the fourth line with a Sam Bitten, which they've been paired up before on the fourth line. So it's not like this is the first time happening, but I can see something like that happen. And because what you don't want to get caught up in is getting taken out of your game and playing just trash style hockey, 11 o'clock in the morning in Toronto. You want to, I think that's a fair way to try to do that, is set the tone right away. None of this nonsense is going on. You had your fun last time. If you're going after Duzak, not in a hockey way, which is what Clifford was doing. Like, that's not hockey. You're not taking him into the boards. You're just going after him. If you're going to start any of that nonsense right off the bat, nope, not going to happen. And then just play hockey. I think, we've seen them at times getting taken out of their game against Bridgeport, kind of playing that chippy, ticky-tack nonsense kind of stuff. And they've been able to get taken out of their game. So I don't think you can afford to get taken out of your game here. I think you have to enforce your style of play, which in my opinion is allowing Sam Bitten to be Sam Bitten. And if you put him on the fourth line with the Duzak, maybe that prevents some of that nonsense.
Yeah, if I'm the coaching staff, I tell them you don't take a penalty until they've already got one.
Yeah, fair.
You don't go out. You wait for them to do something stupid and then you react. You don't go out there and do something stupid yourself. I'm fascinated in just one angle of these games is it who the officiating crew is.
Sure.
And what happens pregame. I mean, if there's a lot of chirping pregame, if I'm a ref, and I feel like this is like sort of the Casey Terreri style, it's like you guys got one crack at it early in the game. Fight who you're going to fight, and then let's play hockey. And if there's any more nonsense, I'm blowing the whistle all night, and you can all sit in the box.
Yeah.
Which I know is not what fans necessarily like, but as a ref, that's kind of how you keep control. You guys, you got beef, settle it early, get it out of the way, and then let's play hockey and let's play good, clean hockey. Some refs just kind of have their head in the clouds and let it all happen. So I'd be interested to see who the refs are and how they handle the game.
Yeah. And if you're looking at this whole weekend ahead, you have the game Wednesday in Toronto, and then you travel up to Belleville and you finish off in Laval. If you look at their standings in the North Division, I believe in the North, the top 5 teams will make the playoff. Mm-hmm. And basically you have Toronto in 4th, Laval in 5th, Belleville in 6th, all separated by 3 points. So, we say all this, we hope it doesn't get in, nonsense in the weeds. These 3 games, you're playing against teams who are scrapping for their playoff lives too. So I would anticipate maybe an early, let's go at it early in Toronto, get it out of the way. I think it would be fun, high energy, but hopefully low penalty, because if you're Toronto, you don't want to be taking foolish penalties either, really.
Right.
I mean, you're only up 3. You have 3-point cushion that separates you from in the playoffs and sitting at home. So
right. Yeah. So we do have that going on. One thing that just sort of crossed my mind is we were talking about the early starts and getting fired up and stuff like that. I've gone on record saying that I like the fact that there are 1 o'clock. There are other teams that do 1 o'clock Sunday games and 5 o'clock Saturday games. And as a fan, I love that because it's I think it's more family friendly, and you're more likely, especially on that Saturday at 5 o'clock, to get more people in the building. I'm wondering how tough that is for the player, just to have it being a 2-hour difference. Like, I mean, for me, especially doing stuff like the WNBA or when I was working with the Bruins, it's like if Sunday games are always at 3 o'clock, I know what time I have to leave to get there. I know what time I want to get there. I know what time I look at my watch. Okay, now I have such and such time to eat before I have to get. You shave 2 hours off of that. Now it's like, okay, well, I usually leave at noon. Now I have to leave at 10, which means I have to get there by this. Mentally, it just, and I'm also time obsessed, but mentally it throws me off. As opposed to like a 3 o'clock to a 7 o'clock. I know what to do at 3 o'clock. I know what to do at 7 o'clock. 1 o'clock starts. I'm like, oh crap. Now I got to do math. You know what I mean? I wonder if, and again, they lost that game to Utica. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of that. But I believe from what we've talked to, a lot of the players really don't mind the early game. I think we talked to him for the Mayflower Marathon. I think 2 of the players said they didn't mind it. One of them said they hated it, I think is what it came down to.
So I think for like players, they're creatures of habit.
Right.
But
so different are the announcers.
But different from yours, like they're getting told when the bus is leaving.
Right.
So, hey,
got to sneak in that nap. Got to sneak in the
boys,
meal.
Bus is hitting the road at 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, I'll be there at 8:30. So you don't have to do the math in your head, but like point taken. And I tend to think it's more disruptive than you'd think, because any athlete is a creature of habit. They like their routines. They want to know, a week in advance who they're playing with, who are their line mates, if things are getting changed up. I would think they're not going to make an excuse for it, but I would think it's more for both teams. Toronto too. They have to play at 11, so, but I have a feeling they probably don't like it,
That they like it at home a lot more than they like it on the road. That's for sure.
That's true.
So, and one other, just something to bring up, heading into this stretch of 3 games in Canada, where obviously travel is a lot more difficult. Let's say here, which we probably should have mentioned off the top of the show, congratulations to Vadim Zarenko and his wife Maria on the birth of their baby, which again, we talk about our family all the time. That's awesome. First time parents. So good for them. And I'm trying to Google it real quick, but it never goes the way I want to. I know the Thunderbirds signed a goalie.
The emergency goal. I actually think, yes, they did. When Zarenko was out, I believe it's all he's already off the roster. Let me look real quick again.
So I'm just curious as to who's going to be backing up. Who's going to be backing up Colton Ellis now. I mean, again, you trade Malcolm Subban. it's like you traded Malcolm Subban, but you also must have known that Vadim Zarenko's wife was extremely pregnant. Like again, you don't dive too deep into the personal life, but you make that trade knowing that he's probably going to miss some time, and nothing gets done about it. So like,
I think he's expected to be back with the team, though. Zarenko.
Is he? Okay.
He
so
is.
Like, that's what I was wondering.
He's expected to be back with the team. If I'm not mistaken, and I believe I heard Ryan mention this on the broadcast this past weekend. Whoever they did sign was an emergency type of contract that was only for that weekend. And then Zarenko is rejoining the team this week in Canada, and is available to play. I don't know how Coach Tkachuk is going to split the time. I would imagine you'd see Zarenko at 11 on Wednesday, and then Ellis Friday night against Belleville, and then Zarenko Saturday against Laval. That'd be my guess.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, he is available and back with the team.
Interesting. Okay. Awesome. Because that's that's always something.
Fair point. Yeah.
The strength of the team. And again, I'm not one of those guys that always feels like you got to rush a guy back from paternity leave, whether you're an accountant or a goalie. I want to make sure Z has enough time, all the time he needs. But that's a situation that I hope they had planned for in advance. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But again, congratulations to Z and Maria.
Absolutely.
That is great news, and everybody seems happy and healthy. So there's that. Anything else, Matt? Anything else you want to touch on here before we move on?
I don't think so. I mean, like it big 3 games away. I think let's just hope the Thunderbirds can only control what they can control. And what I'm expecting, what I'm hoping for is, results aside, let's see effort these 3 games. I do not expect this team to win all 3 games, and they don't have to. They're 2 points away. But, let's just see the effort there, all 3 games, to keep us coming back for more. And I expect that. This is not a team that's going to lay down and just say, we're done. Let's go make our tea times. This is a team that is going to fight. This is a team that is going to be there, and they're not going to just lay down and,
And again, recording Monday, releasing Wednesday, which means something will happen on Tuesday. I just know it.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen on Tuesday, and we're going to say, I can't believe we didn't talk about it on the podcast. But we'll obviously revisit it next week. Big thank you to our friends at White Lion Brewing, as always, for sponsoring us pretty much all season long. Big thank you to them. Big thank you to our friends at YOLO Healthcare Consulting as well. Big thanks to our friends at Landscaping That Fits for helping us out there. And a big thank you to O'Connell's Irish Pub for sponsoring our fan feature segment with Vin and Ryan Carroll, which they were excellent as well.
Yep.
Jam-packed show, a lot of people helping us out. And, again, we're happy to help out other people like Vin and Ryan and talk about their story too. So this is what makes us a community, I think. And it feels good to be a part of it.
Absolutely. We are 413, and we appreciate all the posts and views and clicks and comments on social media. Keep those coming. Thank you, Vin and Ryan. And as always, in Canada, let's go T-Birds.
Hey.